What if the pain you carry inside is not yours alone, but the silent cry of a wounded earth speaking through you? Before we begin, let me ask you something deeper than curiosity. Do you dare to face the truths you have avoided? If you do, then stay with me until the very end of this journey. And if this message touches you, let it ripple outward like a stone cast into water by liking this video, sharing it with others, and subscribing to this channel. Your gesture is more than an action. It is a signal that you are ready. To walk with us, there is a reason you found this video, and it is not chance. Somewhere within you, there is a fracture, a whisper, a longing for meaning that no distraction can erase. This longing cannot be silenced by logic, and it cannot be erased by denial. It is the part of you that knows the world is unraveling, yet feels there must be another way. You have been told that grief is weakness, that despair is something to hide. But what if grief is not your enemy? What if despair is the hidden proof of your belonging? To deny it is to sever yourself from the very web of life that sustains you. To face it is to awaken. In the next moments, we will not give you answers, but plant questions that echo in the chambers of your mind. Questions that cannot be ignored, that pull you deeper with every heartbeat. Why do you feel this pain? Now, and why you? If you remain until the last word, you will discover that nothing inside you is broken. You will see that your pain is a map, your grief a compass, your despair a doorway. And once you cross it, nothing will ever look the same again. Asterisk, gratitude is the first breath. Gratitude is not a polite gesture. It is a radical act of survival. To wake each morning and still marvel at a bird's song or the warmth of sunlight is to defy the narrative of collapse. Gratitude is the thread that holds the mind together when the world seems to fall apart. When you allow yourself to feel gratitude, you do not erase sorrow, but you weave it into a larger tapestry. A single tree becomes more than a tree. It becomes proof that life still insists on living. Each breath becomes more than survival. It becomes participation in a miracle. Without gratitude, despair becomes heavy and absolute. With gratitude, despair becomes bearable, almost luminous. It reminds us that even amid devastation, beauty persists, fragile, fleeting, but real. To feel gratitude is to sharpen your perception. The mundane becomes sacred, and what you once ignored begins to glow. Gratitude is the widening of vision, the breaking open of numbness. It is a paradox. The more we acknowledge what we could lose, the more intensely we feel the gift of what we still have. The taste of water, the rhythm of a heartbeat, the smile of a stranger, all these become revelations. Gratitude is not comfort, it is fire. It tells you that there is still something worth fighting for. It whispers that joy, even in the darkest times, is a form of resistance. This gratitude is not naive. It knows death is real. It knows collapse is near. But precisely because it knows, it clings to life with greater urgency. Gratitude is not denial, it's defiance, as Joanna Macy teaches. Gratitude does not come last, it comes first. It is the foundation of courage. Without it, our grief would devour us whole. With it, grief becomes devotion. Gratitude is a lens. Through it, pain is no longer a curse, but an offering. Through it, action is no longer a burden, but a privilege. And so we begin here with gratitude as the first breath. It's the anchor that steadies us before we dive into the abyss. Asterisk, honoring the pain for the world. Pain is not an error in your design. It is the mark of your belonging. When you ache for the forests burning, the oceans choking, the children suffering, you are not malfunctioning, you're awakening. The culture tells you to numb yourself, to scroll endlessly, to bury the ache beneath. Distraction. But what you suppress does not vanish. It festers. And what festers becomes despair without direction. Joanna Macy calls us to honor the pain instead of silencing it. Because this grief is not yours alone. It is the grief of the rivers, the forests, the creatures who cannot speak. To weep for thee. Earth is not weakness, it is communion. Tears become the river that connects your heart to the heart of the world. Anger becomes the fire of justice, demanding balance. Fear becomes the instinct that warns of danger. What you feel is not private suffering. It is collective truth flowing through you. You are a vessel for the wound of the world, and yet this wound carries power. The very act of acknowledging it transforms isolation into solidarity. You realize your sorrow is echoed in countless others. Suddenly, you are not alone. In circles of mourning, we discover circles of belonging. In collective grief, we discover collective strength. Pain shared does not multiply, it dissolves. When you honor the pain, you give it form. And once it has form, it can move. Once it moves, it can transform. To resist pain is to resist life. To embrace it is to be made whole. And in this wholeness, despair ceases to be an end, becomes the beginning of action. Seeing with new eyes. Once you have allowed yourself to grieve, something begins to shift. The veil of separation thins, and vision widens. You begin to see with new eyes. The illusion of isolation crumbles. You are not an individual floating in emptiness, but a strand in a vast and ancient web. The river is not outside of you, it pulses in your veins. The forest is not scenery, it breathes in your lungs. The soil is not beneath your feet. It becomes the body that sustains you. This is the ecological self, an identity that is no longer bound by the skin, but expanded to embrace the earth. And once you glimpse this truth, you cannot unsee it. Every act against the earth is felt as a wound within yourself. Every healing act toward the earth restores you from within, with new eyes. Questions arise. What if saving the planet is not separate from saving your own soul? What if every act of care for the earth is an act of self-care on the deepest level? Loneliness of ego begins to fade. Fear shrinks in the presence of vast belonging. The self dissolves. But in its place emerges freedom, the freedom of connection. You realize the earth does not need to be rescued. It needs to be remembered. It has always been within you as you. Seeing with new eyes means discovering that life is not something happening to you, but something happening through you. And in this vision, you find not only purpose, but direction. Awareness without movement is suffocation. See is not enough. You must go forth. But going forth does not mean carrying the weight of the world alone. It means weaving your grief and gratitude into action, no matter how small. It may be planting a tree. It may be telling the truth no one else dares to speak. It may be holding space for another person's pain. Each act is a ripple. Action is therapy. It channels energy that would otherwise rot inside you. It gives shape to the love you carry, the love that demands expression. To go forth is to say, I cannot do everything, but I refuse to do nothing. Each act may seem insignificant, but significance is not measured by scale. It is measured by sincerity. In action, you discover lineage. You're part of a chain. Ancestors behind you, descendants ahead of you. Every gesture ties you to both past and future. This is not a burden, but a gift. You are not saving the earth. You are participating in her dance of renewal. Going forth does not guarantee success, but it guarantees meaning. And meaning is the antidote to despair. Through each act, you embody hope before it is visible. Hope is not a feeling you wait for. Hope is a choice you make. Joanna Macy calls this active hope. It is not passive longing, but conscious participation. Active hope says, I will act. Not because I am certain of victory, but because my love leaves me no other choice. It does not erase fear. It walks with fear, hand in hand, into the unknown. It is the courage to plant seeds you may never see grow. The courage to care for a future that may not remember your name. Hope as a feeling is fragile. Hope as a practice is indestructible. This hope is not naive. It does not deny the darkness. It chooses to carry light despite it. And in that choice, despair dissolves into meaning. Sorrow becomes song. Pain becomes power. Active hope is not what keeps you waiting. It is what keeps you moving. And as you move, you discover that the earth moves with you. You are not broken for feeling the weight of sorrow. You are not weak for grieving a world that suffers. You are not naive for hoping against the silence of despair. You are alive, and your aliveness is the proof of your belonging. The pain you feel is not an end, it is a passage. It is the bridge between numbness and awakening. It is the sign that you are woven into the great fabric of existence. Every tear you shed is a thread. Every breath you take is a vow. Every act you choose is a seed, and seeds, even when buried in darkness, still contain the possibility of forests. You are not separate from the earth. You are her voice, her memory, her promise of renewal. When you heal yourself, you heal her. When you honor her, you honor the hidden chambers of your own soul. This is the truth Joanna Macy offers, that grief is love, that despair is a doorway, that hope is action. And once you know this, you cannot return to blindness. So let these words echo within you like the last note of a song that never ends. Let them guide you when silence grows heavy, when the world grows dark, when your heart feels tired. Remember that you are not alone. Others walk this path beside you. Others carry the same weight, the same fire, the same longing for a world reborn. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a deeper way of seeing, a deeper way of living, a deeper way of belonging. And if these words touched you, let them move you outward as well. Like this video not as a click, but as a gesture of commitment. Share it as an offering to those who also carry hidden grief. Subscribe to this channel not as a habit, but as a vow to keep walking together, step by step, breath by breath. Because this journey is not mine alone, it is ours. And the earth is waiting for us to remember.